Hello, I am Andrea Kuchin, and this is MyHomeBiz.TIPS. And today we have the pleasure of talking to the very charming and delightful Daphne Valsin. Hello.
Hey.
It's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now, you work from home, don't you?
I sure do, and enjoy it.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I am a certified professional coach, and I help people to thrive at life, work, and business. So basically, I do a mixture of business coaching, career coaching, and executive coaching. I have those individual clients who I serve, but I also do speaking engagements. And what's interesting is during this time, I'm still doing speaking engagements. I did 2 yesterday. I do them virtually, which is interesting. So I've been doing virtual speaking engagements with people in California 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, one with people in Richmond, Virginia, another one with people in New York. So I am a speaker, trainer, and coach.
Right. So when this all first happened, you probably thought, oh dear, there goes my speaking career. And for a while it was a little shaky, I understand, because I've spoken to other people in a similar situation. But now we've all gotten used to using things like Zoom.
Yes.
Then you're back on the speaking thing again.
Yes. I think for me, there may have been 1 or 2 months where I didn't have speaking engagements. And then after that, I had speaking engagements maybe once every 2 weeks for a few months. So I think people were in shock at first. And then after that, people bounced back. And all of a sudden, I was able to have speaking engagements again.
Wow, because that isn't a very long time to not have any.
No, it's not. No, it's not. 1 or 2 speaking engagements per month is pretty fabulous. And I think initially everyone thought that everyone was going to cancel everything, but I actually have had a large number of speaking engagements. And then I also, interestingly enough, have had the largest amount of males come to me for coaching. So I've had my largest amount of male coaching clients. Some, their wives have called me first and said, I would like my husband to work with you, and others who have come to me directly, which is very interesting.
Right. So you've expanded.
Yes.
Working with a new audience.
Yeah, because I was serving both men and women before, but for some reason, if I had 20 clients, maybe only one would be a man. But during the pandemic, there had been certain days where all of my clients for the day were all men.
Wow.
Like
wow.
4 or 5.
Now, you said something about executive. Are these more of the executive type people?
So the men that I have are a mix. Some are starting businesses, some are executive coaching clients, some are business coaching clients where they have a business already established and they want to grow. So I'm helping them with kind of productivity. I'm doing some planning around what are the best things that they should do on a regular basis to bring the most revenue into their business.
Right. Very interesting. So you're another one of these business owners who probably for a little while was using the word pivot to some degree, because that became the big word. I think that was in the past. But it was an adjustment and you reorganized a little how you do things, and now you're back on track.
Yes, I'm totally back on track. There were only a few things that I had to do. One was mindset, actually, right? To think about how do I do this in a new way, as opposed to thinking I'm just going to take 2020 off or however long the pandemic lasts. And then I'll go back to speaking afterwards. But just even like feedback forms, for example, or the initial conversation I have with someone who I'm going to speak or train with, usually I say things like, what will the setup be in the room? And what time should I arrive that day? And now I had to ask questions I learned the hard way, like, what technology will you be using? In the first speaking engagements I did for teams, technology was, they were trying to figure it out. So it was like, do you all see me on the screen? No, we've never used this before. No problem. I'll be patient. It's completely okay. So I had to learn about what are the proper questions to ask to help even my clients, especially with speaking and training, to prepare to do things in a different way as well.
Right. And there's no one there to guide you because everyone was in the same position. It was new to everybody.
Yep. It was new to everyone. So flexibility and the ability to pivot. I think both of those things had to be implemented.
Right. So now bring out your crystal ball and tell us, is it going to stay like this, do you think? Or are we going to go back to the old ways of doing things?
So I follow a number of people who are like influencers and authorities within the space of like training or speaking or even corporate consulting. And so a number of them are saying that a lot of businesses are going to stick to the way of doing things when it comes to work from home, most likely not 100%, but at least a hybrid. So having a portion of their employees work from home or having them work from home and go into office. That was already happening, right? A little bit right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of articles about working from home and if it was good or not. And I think I actually saw a number of articles saying instead of doing remote work, we're bringing people back into the office. But I feel like, and from what I hear about the data, there's going to be more hybrid ways of working. And then I think the other thing that's going to happen based on the data is we're going to continue to have virtual events and maybe a hybrid of virtual and in-person, because event planners are realizing that attendance actually has gone up for the virtual events that they have been putting on. Although I did notice even with the virtual events, there's been, there are kinks. I think most of the virtual events that I've been to, virtual conferences, there are kinks people are still working out. However, they're still getting exponentially a larger number of people who are registering, which for anybody who is listening, depending on what kind of business you have, there are different opportunities, whether you have products that you sell or you're someone who's a service-based business. If you're able to understand the needs of this new market, especially if you're business to business, then I think there's an amazing opportunity to serve and to expand your service during this time.
I love the way you've said that. I absolutely love the idea that you've put that there are opportunities to serve and expand your market as well. So I read before, years before I'd ever experienced any kind of crisis or change in the way the world works, that a recession or a setback or a depression is a great time of growth. And a lot of innovation has come out of situations like that. And there are people who say that we were getting horribly complacent and the world needed a major shock to sort of shift us. I think that's possibly a little harsh. But there certainly has been a lot of innovation coming out of this and a lot of things, people doing things differently. And it as before, it is the people who are flexible and who will change and who do come up with new ways of doing things who are surviving and even thriving. And it is the people who are upset and stuck because things have changed and they don't like change and it's difficult to do things differently and oh dear, that are the people who aren't. It's a sad thing, but it seems to be the same. It does all seem to be mindset. And that's exactly the first thing you said. I said, what's changed? What did you change? And you said, well, my mindset first and foremost. It's a very, very important thing, the way that you view things and look at things. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
You're very welcome.
Yeah. So getting back to being an entrepreneur and running a business and so on, what was behind your decision to do that? Because it seems to me as though you could have quite easily become part of corporate America, but you decided to become an entrepreneur. So what was behind that decision?
Very true. Very true. I was actually speaking about this today in a Facebook Live. So before I met my husband in 2014 or maybe 2013, actually, my goal was to get my MBA, my Master's of Business Administration, go to a top rated business school, graduate, and work for a consulting firm. And I was like, what will I do? Will I go the human capital route or the entrepreneurship route for my MBA? And I was starting to complete applications, was starting to get recommendations in. During that time is when I met my husband, who 2 weeks after we met, or 3 weeks after we met, we started dating. 4 months after we got engaged, and a year after we got married. Henceforth, he lived in Florida, I lived in Virginia, and he was someone who really likes a lot of time, quality time. And I thought it may not be a good idea to be in my first year of marriage and in an MBA program. So I actually decided to postpone the MBA program. And then I also decided that I was going to try to tap into the things about me and my experience that I felt I could bring together for something that was entrepreneurial, that could grow with me, my husband, and if we were to have children, to grow with our children too. So my undergraduate degree is in public relations. My master's is in secondary education. I've done public affairs work, public relations work, and a lot of things in between dealing with education. And so I decided that life coaching would be the best thing for me to go into. So the same month I took my last GMAT exam for business school, the same month that I got engaged was the same month that I registered for my life coaching certification. And then the Friday I left my job June 23rd after giving my 2 weeks. And that Monday is when I launched my business. I created my website in a day, got my EIN number, opened up my bank account all on that Monday. And that week, by the end of the week, I had 30 consultations booked as a coach. So
Wow.
that was the story in 2014. And then August 2014, that was June. August is when I got married. So everything happened very quickly. Most of my business, I've had small children or have been pregnant. Since I started my business in 2014, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old now. So it did work out because last year I worked 20 to 25 hours a week on average, but my revenues were over the median income for life coaches in the United States. Right. So I've been able to do well balancing the family and balancing my business. But had it not been for my husband, meeting my husband, I most likely would have been a part of corporate America. Although I had mentors along the way who were like, nope, you're definitely an entrepreneur. So that's my story.
I can see why they say that, because you're definitely very motivated. And I think that's the primary thing that as coaches, we tend to work on people about. I mean, I did not intend doing anything to do with mindset or thought processes or anything. Mine was all going to be about how you actually do stuff and the steps you take and the stuff you do. But I found that there is a lot to do with motivating people and getting them to believe that they can do what they hope that they can do. You know, so I think that's also a way potentially. I'm thinking about how this is all going to play together, but I think there's an opportunity for maybe a group of coaches to work together with their own specialities to create the business in a box, if you like, because somebody needs to coach on digital marketing, maybe somebody needs to coach on promotion, somebody needs to coach on mindset, somebody needs to coach on sales, that kind of thing. And then there's the sort of the technical stuff, and you can split those all down. But I think there really is a place for people working together so that business owners have everything they need. And I don't know whether anyone who's watching has noticed, But while I'm talking, I talk about my coach occasionally. Daphne has talked about the people that she's working with, the people that she's following. We're all looking to someone above us. We're all supported by someone above us who then supports us. And we support people who are often supporting other people. And I bet you bottom dollar, whatever that means, that my coach is being coached by someone who's probably also being coached by somebody. And it just goes to show that that support system is absolutely essential. Humans used to live in communities. We don't anymore. We need to find that community support system from somewhere else.
Yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. And I've had coaches, and I know my coaches have had coaches, and they have coaches, most of them still now.
So you answered my next question, which was about how long it took you to start making money, because I think you said a week or something like that. It's not standard, I don't think, but it just goes to show that it can be done, right?
Yeah.
So it seems as though you obviously got everything absolutely right from day one and never made a mistake ever. Spill the beans or spill the tea. What was the biggest mistake that you've ever made?
That's a great question. So what ended up happening was I made $72 my first month in business because my prices were too low, and because I didn't know it, but I had a sales and marketing issue. So I thought only a few people out of that 30 something, out of those 30